Hi, today we're going to talk about can you trust your brain? And this is for people who are recovering from complex PTSD and anxiety. And that's so today we're going to cover that topic. Can you trust your brain? And I'm Rachel McLeod. I am a mental health therapist, an emotional wellness coach, and a therapist mentor. And I specialize in helping people do the brain work for resolving symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress. And the brain has a very beautiful process for this. This process can get blocked and stopped and impaired. And when that happens, we have a backlog of symptoms, and our brain hasn't been able to do its work. With complex PTSD, that usually means somewhere in our childhood, this got knocked offline and didn't get the process, it didn't move forward, right? So that means that we've got stuff backed up, and our healing and our wellness is backlogged and is really kind of buried under the unresolved work that needs to get done. Um, but the brain has a beautiful job doing that now. And even though it didn't get done then, it wasn't safe enough to get done then. You didn't have the support to get done, to get the work processed, the experiences, the emotional distress process then. um, we do it now. And so the brain can do it now. It's trying to do it now. That's why we have all these symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress happening anyway. And so we would just need to get that process supported and unblocked. And so that's really where I'm coming from. And so I'm talking about doing this brain work. And when we talk about doing the brain work, that means that, with us, we want to know, can we trust our brain? And I have a ton of trust in the brain because I've been doing this so much. I recently spoke with somebody that I'm aware of in my personal life, somebody who has never worked with me in this capacity, but they have access to my inner world transformation program, and they said to me that they haven't made any progress on it because they're afraid they're going to do the work wrong. They're afraid they're going to do it wrong. And I felt like my hair just went back, and I was like, I just saw this from a totally different perspective because I know their inner work. I know what they need to do. I know that they've made a lot of progress, and I know that they're right up where they dive into the deep end and heal. And I'm over here with my pom poms, like, let's go. This is going to be so exciting. And they're over here, like, I'm afraid I'm going to do it wrong. Right. And that just really showed me so much that I'm taking all this trust I have in the brain a little for granted over here. And I want to share this with you. I think I've been a little assumptive and presumptive about that you just trust your brain. I might have forgotten in my journey that I've built all this trust up for my brain and for the brains of other people, the times when I didn't trust my brain and I felt like my brain was my greatest enemy and that I couldn't trust it with anything. That if anything we try to do would just end up me in a straitjacket in my emotional mental world. Um, and so I want to back up a moment and really cover this topic. And I'm really not a big fan of trust. I really trust is something, one of the wellness products that if you have experienced a lifetime of trauma, you might not have the wiring for trust. And so I don't want you to have to do something you're not actually wired to do, something that would cause distress. And so but I'm going to talk about it anyway like this. Okay, so I'm going to talk about trust, and I want you to be able to understand there are some ways you can trust your brain is going to be awesome for you, and you can trust there's some ways your brain is going to get you in trouble, and we want to use that based on information and data, not hopeful thinking, wishful thinking, those sorts of things. And so we've done enough denial work, we've done enough illusion creation. We actually need results. We need to be able to find a math equation that results that equals our healing and our wellness. A plus B equals wellness, right? And we really can boil it down to that. That's what I'm going to be boiling it down here for you today, so that we're following an equation, not wishful thinking, hopefulness, those sorts of things. I don't like that stuff, especially coming from a childhood where I couldn't rely on anybody else. I didn't feel like I could rely on anybody else. I don't want to have you relying on trust and wishful thinking to get your results, because you don't need to do that. I do want you to have tons of trust. I talk with my clients about this. I want you to trust that people are going to do the wrong thing. I want you to trust that people are going to do the right thing, right? I want you to trust accurately, based on statistics and not wishful thinking and delusions that we create. Okay. So, and I want you to build that in. I want you to be able to build that. Okay. I think I've said the things. Let's get to work here. Um, okay. There are two players on your team that when they get together, healing happens. When they get together, your highest good happens. They're back there, they're on your team of awesome that will do their absolute best to make your world accurate, make your world, make you thrive in your world. And that is your body and your prefrontal cortex. When those two guys get together and sit at the table together, talking about all the things, whatever happens there is going to be phenomenal. I have not seen that part of the brain, that process, cause problems. And that's a big statement. I'm going to review it too. But I haven't seen that happen. When those two players actually connect and actually do their information transfer, it's good. It's really, really good. It's strong, it's powerful. There's lots of epiphanies, lots of insights. There's a ton of, wow, really? And the body is like, yeah, no, I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you. That's what I heard. And I know that's the pressure I felt in my leg. And this is the thing. And that's the purple, the person whose face I saw. That's the face I registered. And then this happened and this happened. And your prefrontal cortex is like, tell me more, tell me more. And your body is sending up all the stories and doing all the things. And then up there, after they've heard all the stories, they're like, oh, well, we thought it was like this, but it's not. And then we got this new information, and they get back there and they're like, we need to rewire this over here. This is in the wrong spot. Oh, this is that. This is that black hole we've had over here that just was like, every time we went over there, we dissociated. We couldn't see clearly what was going on over there. That's really, we've got this new data. Let's plug that in. Okay. And things start shifting. Your brain starts making a more accurate map of the world. It happens automatically when those two players get together. Those two players you can trust. Those two players have your highest good in mind. Your prefrontal cortex is your wisdom. It is your creativity. It's your accuracy. It's your data processor. It's the one that's going to solve problems for you. You need a problem solved. That's the one, and it's going to solve it for you, and not for Billy and Harry and Sally. Right for you. And it's going to be hearing this stuff for your body. It's actually going to make it for your body, because the body's the one that's given it all the information. And then it's going to say, oh, you didn't like that? Let's do this differently. Oh, that felt terrible. Let's do this differently. Oh, you really like that? Okay, let's do more of that. You want these two connecting. They always come out more. The programming that your brain makes for you, your subconscious programming, is more in alignment with what your needs are, what your body's saying, what your preferences are, what your comfort is, what's your joy. It has. Are you picking up what I'm putting down here? That's where all of your, like, who you are gets knit and woven into something that works for you. Behaviors and outfits that look good on you. Ways of relating, things to say that make your relationships function. We want this one to get that conversation with the body. Okay. So that team over there, that connection, you can trust. Okay. Now, let me tell you what you can't trust is your mind disconnected from your body. If your mind is playing as a solo player, don't trust that. Do not trust that part of your brain. It's out of date. It's wackadoodle. It's inaccurate, and it's going to do what brains do, even though it doesn't have accurate information. So it's going to make you solutions without the accurate information. It's going to make you insights without the accurate information. It's going to create stories for you, delusions, illusions without accurate information, outdated information. That's a problem. And that is a lot of what's happening with anxiety, depression, traumatic stress, because the mind and the body actually can't connect. They can't make the connection. They can't have the conversation. The body cannot update the mind. And the body is the updater of the mind. All that sensory information, your visual senses, your auditory, your olfactory, your taste buds, I don't know what that's called. your the temperatures, the vision information, that sensory stuff, all of that are the updaters of your mind. Okay, there's tons of information coming in from the heart field. Heart math. I don't know if you're into all that geeky stuff. I love it. Anyway, they're showing that the heart is receiving information around us in a different sensory form than our thoughts, our thinking center. It's informing, it's the updater of the mind. So when these guys are separated, you don't want to trust your mind in that scenario. And you'll notice your thoughts are off. You're doing emotional reasoning. You're doing all or nothing thinking. You're jumping to conclusions, right? Your brain is braining, but it's inaccurate and outdated, and it's not helpful. And then you're going to follow it because what else do you have? Or you're not going to follow it anymore, and you're going to you're going to find somebody you can follow so that you can at least get a little bit more accurate because that thing's not working, right? And now we're getting more separated from the mind. We're not trusting the mind. We're distrusting because we're learning that it's not okay. And this is not an inaccurate distrust. This is accurate distrust, right? And then you've got the body over here. The body disconnected from the mind is a whole nother thing that you don't want to trust. And this isn't a trust thing. What happens here is somatic distress. This is where your body keeps trying to have the conversation with the mind. It keeps sending up the reports. Hey, let me tell you about that thing. Let me tell you what I saw. Let me tell you what I heard. Let me tell you what I saw. Let me tell you what I smelled. Let me tell you what I felt. Let me tell you what the temperature was. Let me tell you the tactile sensations. Let me tell you. And so, but they can't connect. So it's telling you, right? And nothing's happening. So it's telling you over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. This is what flashbacks are about. You don't want that. It's painful. And so it's not about trust or not. Humans can't tolerate this. And so then we have to get some new functions on board, like suppression, denial, numbness, depression, and distractions. Because we have to stop that. Keep that repetitive. Let me tell you about that thing. Let me tell you about that time. Let me tell you, right? We have to stop that. We have to interrupt it. And we have tons of tricks for that. Those tricks don't create health, but they help us survive. So I'm not knocking them. I'm not saying that's a problem. That's actually a good thing, but we can't do that. We need healing. And sometimes on the healing journey, you got to do a little distracting and numbing and depression. I'm not knocking survival strategies. We need to survive this. They're not, your mind body system is not wrong for putting on depression, numbness, distraction. Those are signs that things are not, that the mind body system process is not working, and that we can jump in and help this. And I'm going to show you about that in a second. But that stuff you don't want to trust, right? Now, we've got a third player in here that is really important to trauma processing, healing, our growth process, our maturation, our experience mastery, our skill mastery. We need these players to work together. And the other one is the survival system. This part of the brain is not going away. We don't talk about this part very much, and we don't support this part of the brain. And it is the part of the brain that will disconnect the communication loop between the mind and the body. This is the one that's running interference. This is the problem causer, and this is the one why you're still alive, right? So we've got this one's helping and hurting, but it's disorganized at this point. It's inaccurate. It's protecting us from stuff that's actually part of our healing process, right? This part is just responding to pain, emotional pain, mental pain, relational pain, social pain. Okay, that's all it's responding to. It's listening to the pain neurons. The pain neurons do not differentiate between being stabbed in the gut and being rejected, disappointed, let down. It's not a thinking center. It's not categorizing stuff. That's done by the prefrontal cortex, the top parts of our brain. The prefrontal cortex is a specific part, but I want the whole brain to come together here, but the prefrontal cortex is the one that sorts these things. Okay, so the survival system is just sitting up there and it's like, do we need to fight, flight, freeze, faint, or fawn? I'm ready at any time, right? Let's go. Instant awareness, hypervigilance. This guy is completely committed to keeping you alive, your body alive. It doesn't care about anything else. Matter of fact, it doesn't care about your children, doesn't care about your spouse, doesn't care about your work, it doesn't care about your anything. It just wants you to stay alive, and we will do anything, this survival system, to make sure that's accomplished. And so what happens is once the pain neurons start flashing, right? We got a little flashing pain light. The survival system's like, what do we got? And it's like, you might notice that there's a little bit of pain there. At some point, it reaches the threshold, and it doesn't have to do a lot. Your brain is specific to you. This could cause a whole dissociative event for you, and this right here might do not a dang thing to somebody else, right? And you don't get to choose those things. There's no point in judging that. It just is what it is. Uh, but whatever, the pain neurons are going off, and let's say this is the triggering event. Your survival system shifting you into fight, flight, freeze, faint, or fawn instantly. You don't get a choice about this. This is an automatic part of the brain. This is an automatic flipper of the switches, and we're shifting from processing and integration, growth, connection into survival. We're disconnecting from those things, shutting those parts of the brain down and shifting into survival mode. We don't, it shuts it down to about 20% of function because it needs them if they need them. But this is why when we get triggered, we don't think with clarity. We are lacking our morals, our values, our problem solving. We're lacking a lot of those higher level reasoning because this part of the brain is actually shutting them down. You can trust it to do that, right? That's what it does every time. And so, but it'll depend on how much it shuts it down. That's a whole different ball game. I'm not getting into there. Let's just be all or nothing today. Um, so we're going to go, it shuts it down to whatever place, right? Okay, and now you're dealing with fight, flight, freeze, faint, or fawn, and you'll be there until this survival system determines that it's safe. We can turn that off now, and we can go back and turn on the other parts of the brain. And then you'll notice your thinking center turning on, your reasoning, your values, your morals. A lot of times when it's inaccurate, that's when we're like, oh my gosh, what did I do? Or that's when we start reliving events that we did under survival states. That's when we start thinking about the things in more details. That's when we're more rational. And so that there's a lot of stuff happening there. Also, that's when the mind body situation is mind body connection is flowing. When this is in a regulated state, it allows the conversation between the body and the mind. Now, you've got the three players, but let's pick this up a notch. If you've got complex PTSD, your body wants to tell you about it. It hasn't told you. It's like there's things I have never said because when I tried to say something, the survival system kicked on because it was painful, and we went in survival state, and I had to just put the stuff back in because once the survival state kicks on, it shoves the stuff the body's trying to communicate back into the body. It closes the loop so there's no place for the body stuff to go, and so it has to go back down. It doesn't get to finish. If it gets to go and talk to the prefrontal cortex about it, the body finishes it, it's done with it, it moves on, right? It lets it go. It transfers the information. It doesn't keep rehashing things like flashbacks. It's done with the flashback. It completed the work with the flashback. And so if it doesn't get to complete the work, it keeps going, right? And this is why we can have flashbacks for an entire lifetime. Okay, we need to help complete the work. So yeah, so when the body tries to get this up and it wants to talk about these painful experiences, the survival system's kicking on, turning you to fight, flight, freeze, faint, or fawn, and it's going back down. This might look like bigger symptoms. It might also look like just restlessness, distraction, all these things. We are fleeing. We're fighting. We're getting in arguments. We're being irritable. We're just on edge. We're restless. We're fawning. We're just going into people pleasing. We are fainting, where people are getting intensely sleepy. Their eyelids are getting heavy. They have to go to sleep. Their brain is putting them to sleep. And fight. I gotta review this. Fight, flight, freeze. Oh, freezing. People aren't. Mind's going blank. They're not able to speak. Their voice is stuck. They're have no way to defend themselves. They're frozen. They're playing dead. Their brain said, we're gonna play dead here. So that's happening. Okay. Now you can see that if these parts are working separately and alone, you cannot trust your mind. You can't trust this process. This is the process uh, we want to resolve this. We want to work through this. We want to create change here. This is not, oh, let's just trust our brain to work it out. Time will heal this. No, time does not heal this. This disconnection is happening because pain is moving. And every time that pain is moving, we're going to a survival state. So we need to do something about that. And what I help people do is while the body is talking about things, we're sending in supports to the survival system that even though the pain neurons are flashing, we're supporting it and sending safety signals through the body at the same time the body is sending past memories, inner conflict, emotional distress through to the top of the brain. Okay. The body, we want the body doing what the body's doing. And we're just going to talk to the survival system in its native language, which is a little different. It's body interventions. That's why I'm having people use emotional freedom techniques. That's why I'm having people follow move your eyes, right? We have to use the body to send signals and to support processing, to support the mind body loop. That's our design. That's why we're holding babies and rocking them. You don't know this, but you're actually working with their survival system. That's what this is all about. It's not, you're not actually helping their prefrontal cortex or nor their body. You're actually talking to the survival system, which is why the babies that are getting rocked and loved and supported and soothed end up being thriving in adulthood because they're getting the support that part of the brain needs to create health and wellness, right? So we're actually facilitating the connection between the mind body loop by soothing the survival system, by supporting the survival system in its native language. I think I've said it. Please hear me when I say that. It's really, really important. That's our design. You can pretend like your system doesn't need oxygen if you want to, or you could breathe. You could work with your mind body system in its design, right? You can pretend like your survival system doesn't need soothing and comforting and discussions of safety and support and soothing in its own native language if you want to, or you could work with your mind body system in the way that it was designed to be worked with. Right? So this isn't you're weak because you need a pat on the back, a hug, some tapping. This isn't about that. This is how our design is. And actually, we will become stronger if we work with our mind, body system, our brain in the way that it's designed to be worked with. Okay, so what we really want is we want these three players to work together nicely, holistically, in a team. And mind you, the body is going to do what the body's going to do, right? This one is on point. It's doing its job. I got to deliver the reports, right? The fact that you're seeing me is the fact is your eyes are delivering the reports. Your brain is processing them and you're getting that stuff, right? Right. So the body's going to keep doing this. It's doing this all the time. The prefrontal cortex is processing. It's trying to keep up. Right. And it's doing a really good job. So these guys are working here. The survival system, if we can get it involved here and supported, it's going to chill. It's going to let them talk. And they're going to resolve so many of your things. They are going to make your life better. They're going to say, oh, we need to fix this. We need to fix that. Oh, I had no idea. Oh, tell me that stuff from the past, from 20 years ago again. Oh, we had it marked like this. Oh, that's not how it's supposed to be. Okay. Oh, tell us more. They're rearranging everything. They are building more function, more wellness. They're taking pain out of things. They're resolving symptoms of anxiety, depression, traumatic stress. They're resolving procrastination, fears, phobias, flashbacks. They're cooking. I don't even tell them what to do back there. When we get to this part, I'm not better than these two guys. These two guys are phenomenal. I trust them entirely. This is where I trust them. I entrust them to cook. There is nobody better than them. But we need to be watching this guy because it needs specific support. It wants to know if it needs to fight, flight, freeze, faint, or fawn for you. It needs to know if you're going to survive this. Right? Some of the stuff your body, if you've got severe complex trauma, some of the stuff your body is trying to communicate is knockout painful. Right? That means we're going to need a lot of support right here. Because and we might even have to like do it in doses. Okay, go ahead and say a little bit about it, body, while we support this. Oh, that's all we can do for today. Done. Right? We are going to have to keep a strong eye on this part to get all these players moving together and healing well. Okay, now, and when this happens, when this triangle happens, even if it only happens once, if it happens twice, if it happens 3 times, right? I don't care. I just want it to try and make this happen as many times as we can. And we can. We can do this a lot. This is how I'm helping people overcome anxiety, depression, trauma. This is it. This is how I'm helping them transform how they do life, connect, heal their relationships, heal their finances, heal their dreams, their goals, help them be able to do the things that's on their heart to do. This is it. And actually, I'm over here hanging out with this guy, but there are strategies that we can bring these guys together to do their work even better and quicker and more efficiently. And we're not just waiting and hoping they get to that conversation. Okay, we can lead them to have the conversations that give us the most transformation. So, but when we do this, when these three are hanging out well and doing what they need to do, we'll have accuracy. That's what we're going to start seeing, more accuracy. We're going to see more calm in the body. The body starts relaxing because it doesn't have to work so hard. It's not trying to get 3,000 bazillion things through. We've reduced it to 1,000 bazillion things. That matters in the nervous system. And then we're going to keep going, right? We're going to keep reducing the mental load of unprocessed, unresolved emotional distress and events, right? So that it can become free to be in the present moment. And that's how we get more present, right? This whole thing works together really well here. Then we're getting upgrades to your behaviors, the way you're communicating, the way you're living, the way you're waking up, the way you feel, upgrades. We get rewiring. The brain will hold this stuff if we're walking it through its process for creating mastery. And we're going to get change. We're going to get lasting change. And so that's really the power of getting these three parts of the brain to work together. And that's where you can't trust your brain, and that's where you can trust your brain. And we really want to put it into the place where we can trust it to do phenomenal work. And so I want to invite you to let me teach you three of my favorite interventions for this work. And those interventions are fast. They're body interventions. They're a little weird. I'm going to be honest with you up front, because we're working with a part of the brain that's different. And so we're speaking to it in its native language. We're pulling it into the healing conversations. And so those interventions, it takes me about a little under an hour to teach three of them. They each take about 30 seconds to 2 minutes to do, but I'm answering questions and things like that in there. Try this new way of working with your brain. See what happens. You can do so much work very well, very easily, just by trying it. Don't go watch a couple videos, right? Don't go in unresolved memories in the past. Stay in the present. Stay in your current anxiety area. Stay in the stuff that keeps things safe for you and also helps you watch your brain work through stuff and create more and more health and wellness. When you find an intervention in there that works for you, there's so much we can do. There's a whole process I've designed and laid out. It's the process I walk all my coaching and my therapy clients through to create and amplify their wellness. And so that's it for me. I'm going to jump off. I see Margaret. Hi, Margaret. I see that you have a question. She says, is that like following your first mind? And then she says, well, maybe not. I don't know what your first mind is. So if you want to chat about that in the comments, write some more about it and we'll do that. But I think it sounds like I answered your question already. All right. I'll talk to you all later. Take care. Bye.